This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
And welcome to the program. I'm Roby Brock. We are glad to have you with us. I am joined by Stacy Hurst. She is Arkansas's Secretary for Parks, Heritage, and Tourism. Fresh off of a trip to Fayetteville this past week for the annual Governor's Conference on Tourism. Stacy, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Roby.
Why don't you give me a little capsule summary of what happened in Fayetteville with the conference this week? I'm going to ask you some details about where tourism is financially in the state of Arkansas, but just the programming and what all went on that week for people that have never been to a conference. What takes place at one of those?
Well, this was a great time for us to get together because we feel like we have in the tourism industry been to hell and back through the pandemic. We've been one of the most impacted industries in the country. And it was just really good to gather for people to be in person and seeing each other again and sharing ideas. And it was just very invigorating and positive. So we had a lot of great meetings, a lot of information presented, talking about some exciting new ways of doing things. And then we celebrated. We celebrated people in the industry. We inducted two members into the Hall of Fame. So all in all, it was just a great 3 days.
Awesome. I want to talk a little bit about trends later in this interview, but first let's go to the 2% tourism tax. Totaled a little more than $20 million last year, which is a record. So we see the rebound in 2021. It's up 51% compared to where things were in 2020, and about 16% above the pre-pandemic level of 2019. What is your reaction to that record-setting year? Could you have imagined that 6 months, 12 months ago?
Absolutely not. Did all kinds of forecasting. Some of it was pretty bad in terms of 2% collections, and we have just done incredibly well. And let me just say, it's never been a better time to be the natural state, because during the pandemic, that's what people were looking for. They wanted to be out in nature, and Arkansas has that in abundance. So we made some strategic decisions in terms of our communication with the public, in terms of our messaging. We reminded people of all that Arkansas has to offer in terms of access to the outdoors, and it really, really has paid off. Our state parks, Roby, had record visitation last year, over 9 million visitors. As of the first 9 weeks of this new year, we are seeing a 15% increase over that. Our federal lands had record visitation. The National Park Service released their numbers. Hot Springs National Park is now the 38th most visited park in their system of over 400 parks. They recorded over 2 million visits. So it's just we're in a great position to continue to grow our tourism industry, and people have discovered Arkansas, and we don't think that's going to change.
Talk to me about some of the trends that were discussed in this conference on tourism here. What are some things that people might not be aware of that you think are going to be what is going to drive tourism growth and some parts of the economy going forward?
One thing we talked about is outdoor recreation, and we have great partners in that, as you know, with the Walton Family Foundation, but cities and counties across the state of Arkansas have really embraced access to the outdoors. And what that looks like, it increases not just visitation, but small business opportunity. So that's something we talked about, and cities and counties are really looking at that hard. CVBs are looking at that hard. As you all know, we added Blue Mountain to our collection to complete the three pinnacles, the three peaks of the Pinnacle Mountain Range in Western Pulaski County. And when we have that completed and connected, that will be a huge amenity for Central Arkansas. So CVBs across the state are embracing that as well. So that's a huge opportunity we talked about. We also talked about using data. And we had a really great presentation from Longwoods that talked about what the national trends are, what travelers want and what they're expecting. So we hope we equip our hospitality industry to continue to respond well.
Yeah, Longwoods is the national consultant that provides a lot of that data and market research for the state of Arkansas. A big development this week that was announced. I'm thinking there was probably some timing in this. The Market Center of the Ozarks was announced. A big project that's got the Walton family behind it in Springdale. It's going to basically be a place for growing food, for experimenting with food, for trying to get people more engaged around the concept of food as a tourism I guess driver. What do you see in that type of project, and why is that so important, do you think?
I think it's very important. Travelers look for an authentic, interesting food experience when they travel. There's also a growing interest in agritourism. So they want to see it on the ground, essentially. And so this will be a very interesting component to the mix in Arkansas. Of course, Northwest Arkansas has so many great reasons to visit, but this will just add to that mix, I think, in a very compelling way. And I think we can duplicate that across the state of Arkansas. We've got the eastern part of the state, they're huge agricultural area. And I think that they can add a component of sort of that small farm, local agritourism that will drive visitation over there. So I think it's a really cool thing, and I'm excited to see it develop. We want to partner with that group up there.
All right, she's Stacy Hurst. She's Arkansas Secretary for Parks, Heritage, and Tourism. Always good to visit with you. Thank you so much, and keep it cooking, okay?
Thank you, sir.
All right, we're back with more after this.